Alright guys, welcome back to Celestial Invitational. I am D2, with me is Caldy, and we're getting down to the home stretch, the last two matches of today, last two series, excuse me. Just a reminder, if you want to catch these videos on YouTube afterward, you can go to my channel at youtube.com/D2HS. Another shameless plug, sorry about that. Alright, next, the last two matches we have for you are Kolento versus Chaoshen and Shadowy versus Tom. This will determine who moves on to the finals, the single-elimination bracket, which runs pretty similar to this. They have to use all 9 decks in that, or excuse me, all 9 classes in that in order to win the largest share of the grand prize in that situation. Kolento in a really good situation right now with a 2-0 score overall in series, and if he wins this, he will be moving on. If he loses narrowly, he could also move on as well, but kind of depends on what happens with the other players. Going against Chaoshen 0-2 in a very bad spot. So, what do you think about this series coming up, Kaldi?
I think the important thing now is because Kolento is 2-0, and the two players that have won are 1-1, Shadowy and Tom,
Yeah,
are facing each other.
I see where you're
So
going
that
with
means
this.
that Kolento is already through to round of 8, and Chaoshen is already eliminated. So it's not going to be the most important match, but it's always bragging rights, I guess.
Right. That is a good point. Whoa, that actually went really quickly. Huh. They don't like us looking at their decks. Apparently, that went by. All I saw that it was kind of a hybridish hunter. All right, we'll try to go through this really quickly. All right, Chaoshed. All right, looks like a dragon priest, a patron warrior, and a freeze mage with no Reno. All right, got it. Okay, they rushed through that one. I guess they're realizing that it's not very important either. So like, all right, let's just go get this over with, guys. So yeah, like you say, because Shadowy or Tom, one of them will be 2-1, the other one will be 1-2, and Chaoshen is guaranteed to be no better than 1-2. So that means that Kolento moves on. That's pretty cool, and Chaoshen cannot move on. So Chaoshen kind of sitting there looking a bit sheepish, wondering how this all went wrong. And but we still get to see some good games, and it'll be pretty interesting to see these lineups go against each other. I guess, did you get a chance to look at Kolento's Priest and Warlock deck? Face Hunter
Sadly, did
Zoo.
not. It was only for a second there.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
it looks like in the chat we have Face Hunter Zoo Dragon Priest. Alright, so if that is true, then thank you very much, Mr. Eternamd. And it wasn't Face Hunter though, so maybe I can't really trust you, because I did see 2 high mains in there.
can
So
be hybrid, you know. You
yeah, it
never
looks
know.
like it's probably going to be hybrid, but yeah, Chaoshen not looking too happy there, just kind of contemplating life. Did just lose to an aggro freeze mage, so I guess I can't be feeling too good at the moment.
We have to talk a bit about the scenario here. So for Chaoshen, this match absolutely doesn't matter. For Kolento, if Kolento wins this match, he is in first place and gets the first seed. So he will face the second place finisher of tomorrow's group. Now, if Kolento goes ahead and loses the series, then Tom is very likely to beat him on map score. Because Kolento's map score is mediocre. He won his match narrowly. He won both of his matches very narrowly. So if he loses now, then Tom is most likely going to be able to get ahead of him. But if it's Shadowy, then
Shadowy has even a better score than Tom so far. Yeah.
So it'll be close if Kolento loses this. But there's actually something on the line. Still, if you face Dog or Ties, it's gonna be rough either way. So I'm not sure if Kolento is too worried about facing one player or the other. Maybe he just feels like he's gonna sleep and then get something done.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never know. Strange things can happen. We saw Surrender not make it out of his group yesterday, and Monk and I kind of saw some misplays here and there from the second place finisher, that being Jayshaw. So you can't really count things, as set in stone already thus far. I mean, you could see some sort of upset. Maybe we have Tice in first, and one of the Chinese qualifiers in second. So that would be good motivation for Kolento to get out of this group in first and make sure he faces, most likely a weaker opponent.
Oh yeah, no question. But it could absolutely matter. But it could also be a scenario where I guess a random Chinese player gets the first place in the group, and ties or someone gets the second place. It's hard to tell, but I think mainly the mindset of Kolento is that he's just going to beat everyone.
Right,
It's
right,
generally
right.
Kolento. I don't see Kolento being afraid of facing that player and thinking super much about it. I feel like he just works on being as good as possible and just brute forcing through everyone, and that's what he's been doing today without sleeping. He must be tired at this point. His webcam isn't working. Maybe that's yeah.
Well, we've had webcam issues with most of the players thus far, so not just limited to Kolento. In any case, talking about this game, Kolento had a pretty explosive start with that double leper gnome opening, followed by the mad scientist, and now going to be that eagle homebow to deny the draws to Chaoshen. Chaoshen does not have Reno in this deck, at least what I was able to check in that limited time that we had it on the screen. But yeah, Kolento is playing that kind of a hybrid-y hunter with the high mains in there, so going to be looking to get some draw high main first of all to make really annoying for Chaoshen to deal with it. But
I think it's actually the strongest hunter against freeze mates. I think they're all pretty weak overall. I would say that mid-range hunter is probably the weakest out of the three. Whereas as face hunter can get lucky, but the freeze is just so devastating for the mid. But I feel like the hybrid just kind of has the best of both worlds against freeze mates specifically. But Healbot is just really strong.
Right. What do you think about? This was something that I heard Firebat explain in one of his streams a couple months ago, and he was talking about how hunters have been doing a bit better against freeze mage, and obviously this was a conversation that happened 2 months ago, so it's kind of a extends till now type of thing. But he was saying that they were doing better against freeze mage not because of any changes to any of the decks, but because freeze mage had been around for a while, and hunters started figuring out how to beat the freeze mage and how to play around certain things.
It could be true, yeah. But I always look at if both players are playing correctly, and I think in that scenario I'd give the edge to the freeze. It completely depends on the draw, and I feel like Hybrid Hunter, has a very very strong chance to make things happen there. But now I wonder about the trap. What this trap actually is? Do we know that?
Wasn't able to get a look at it. Most likely going to be freezing, considering that's what we see in Hybrid Hunter a lot, just to be kind of annoying with their early drops. What do you think about potentially using Ironbeak Owl on this this Acolyte just to deny the draws? Especially because Doomsayer isn't the greatest against Hyman anyway, but looks like he's just gonna go for full out damage, and
So
yeah.
I wanna explain this. I think this guarantees that it's gonna be Freezing Trap first of all. So that would give him a second charge, which basically means that Chaoshen kind of can't attack. Okay, Chaoshen apparently did not think this was going to be Freezing Trap, but anyhow, the idea is that he was to silence his own frozen savannah for lethal. I think that's the idea for Kolento. He's just gonna get an extra bow charge.
Right.
Draw doesn't matter at this point. It's about the mana and
So
about the brood damage.
Right. Gonna wait for not using the silence for the Doomsayer ear, they're just using it for his high main. Chaoshen not in too bad a position though, considering just because he has the ice barrier and ice block, it's not too late to play the ice barrier to get that 8 healing. Because Kolento still has to kind of use attack damage rather than just spells. So he can go for that, but looks like he's just gonna go for the heal bot. I thought that might have been a play after the ice block and ice barrier potentially.
Maybe his idea is to have an answer for the savannah, so cone of cold and ice barrier.
Right, and then with this heal bot, maybe he can start getting damage in to potentially erase the opponent. So yeah, definitely a few options here for Chaoshen. Obviously, Kolento's play was pretty obvious, just throw down a high main, but yeah, Chaoshen, pretty annoying high main in the way, but can play that ice barrier down. He's not going to get direct damaged, killed anytime soon, so doesn't even need to really worry about that ice block. And then also can follow that up with a Kona Cold. So it looks like it's going to be the play. And prefers to get rid of the Honda Creeper rather than hitting face. Obviously in kind of crisis control mode, keep the board as clear as possible.
That is true here. Fusion Trap not going to be too useful. Is he going to just hope for a hover here? Is he going to clear the heal bot now? I would imagine not, by the way he's been playing. He's been playing super aggressive, and that's how I think you need to play against freeze mates. But checks first, gets the Misha. It's probably among the worst. I think Liak maybe a little bit worse overall. I think Fusion Trap won't be an option now, so it's just going to be hero power pass.
Yeah.
Maybe Fusion Trap. I mean,
well, no, I mean, if you freezing trap, you have to kill the heal bot. So it's kind of, you know.
Still, like let's think about it. Like, if you have 2 minions on the board, is it playable to go for the heal bot? I would say no, because you get 10 damage just on the minions. So freeze is way better than going for the heal bot. If you attack in, you get a second weapon, charge on the weapon. It's about the mana, not the card quality. I feel like at this point, but maybe he just wants to hero power him down in the late game now.
Yeah, I mean, the 7 mana for the heal bot would be pretty prohibitive for Chaoshen to play, so that is a consideration. Probably Kolento thought that through and realized that this game might go a few more turns, and in the medium term, I think Kolento is, you know, ahead. If this game goes super long, it's good for Chaoshen. But in the super short term, you know, Chaoshen can, you know, freeze and do all that kinds of stuff. But in the medium term, Kolento is almost guaranteed to get some attacks in with his minions, so doesn't want to prolong the game past, you know, 6 or so turns, where the heal bot might get a play in at that point.
Yeah, I do agree. So he is now one off, actually out lethal now, but yeah, there is the ice block to consider. But this is not ice block. This is ice barrier, and this may put Kolento in some trouble. Now we have the Ardent Horse Rider. I heard about Reddit that there was a person who was debating if there was a chance to get Ardent Horse Rider in a legendary deck. I think he was going to eat something if that happened. But yeah, I mean, Kolento is kind of proving that wrong right here. So 6 damage from the Owl, put him down to 7.
Yeah, 2 minus 6 damage feels pretty good, even if you're making your high main weaker. So yeah, that ends up being okay. Now Chaoshen in a lot of trouble. And yeah, what were you about to say? Sorry.
I feel like, yeah, Chaoshen may be running away with this game though, if he gets any more healing. So losing the heal bot may be bad. I mean, the thing is, what can Kolento do other than just hero power?
Yeah, true. I mean, he can't really use that Unleash the Hounds unless something comes on the board. As far as Chaoshen is concerned, I mean, he kind of, with this play, oh, okay, he's going to actually Frost Nova, interestingly enough. So, gonna favor having multiple turns of this Thorson on board, as we do see that Kill Command would be lethal. And he picks it up. Kolento, always good for being able to get good draws when it matters most. But yeah, that is going to be game. Chaoshen just can't believe his luck today. Absolutely unbelievable. So yeah.
Feel for him, honestly. Yeah.
Wow.
I think overall, though, yeah, like I think he made the right call with the Emperor. You have to play aggressive because you don't have the heal to be able to play defensive at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if Kolento doesn't draw lethal there, then the next turn he has a cheaper Ice Block, a cheaper Arcane Intellect, and then from there he can maybe pick up something, or maybe he can freeze the board again and then pick up Alexstrasza and stay alive. And then at that point he has a 5 mana, you know, Antonius on the turns following that. So he would put himself in a very good position as long as he wins. Or as long as he stays alive, but did not work out as we saw. Now we're going to our next game. It's going to be what looks to be Dragon Priest. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to examine the decks too closely, but looks like it's going to be the case, and going to be the same Freeze Mage for Chaoshen. So this is going to be a really good matchup for Chaoshen in this situation. Kolento going to be looking to apply some pressure and hopefully draw something like a Shadow Word Pain to prevent his board from getting wiped.
So I've been playing this type of Dragon Priest a lot, both yesterday and overall this week. And I don't like to call things early, but this is one of the most one-sided matchups. There is there's no answer to the Doomsayer, generally. I believe there's a 1 volt in this case, but you need more mana to get that off. You generally just need like 10 mana for that.
Ooh.
Wow, that's
Gonna just play the Doomsayer right away. Interestingly enough, if you're Kolento
that's
here,
not correct. Yeah,
do you just go for 2 draws right now?
I think so. Yeah,
I mean, this deck is kind of this deck is basically like a tempo deck. You're trying to get as many things on the board as possible, as opposed to the control priest, which really values drawing a lot of cards because of all the combos that it has in the deck. So yeah, in this case, going to be drawing as many cards as possible now, so that he can start putting the tempo pressure on later.
I'd call this a Zoo style deck even, but overall, yeah, you don't have answer for the Doomsayer. That's the problem. And after the Alexstrasza, you don't have a Holy Fire.
Ooh.
Like you used to Bran, okay,
Do you play Bran in your Dragon Priest?
I do.
All right, so I guess
cut
that's part of the standard Dragon Priest these days. Cut a
the
zombie
Dark
tail?
Cultist, yeah.
Oh,
No, I
Cultist. Okay.
cut 2 Dark Cultists, run 1 Blackwing Technician. Thing is, you get 6 damage from the Blackwing Corruptor. You get a Druid of the Claw for 4 mana with the Twilight.
Right.
So 2 cards from the
Azure Drake.
Drake, and actually a very important thing is you get 4 bombs from the Dr. Boom. Something that has won games more than once.
Right. And so we see Kolento with a few options here. Can go for that Druid of the Claw, like you mentioned, but it would be on turn 5, which kind of feels bad, right? It just seems like a normal card at that point. And I mean, unfortunately, the Blackwing Corruptor, you cannot split that damage up over these 2 minions, so that's not an option. Could just go for the double card draw, which is reasonable as well. Could go for, what would that be, a 3/4 with Taunt Wormer's Agent?
Yeah, the Wormcrest is probably the weakest bonus. You get 4 extra health from the Twilight Vault, but I kind of like just Azure Drake here. I think Azure Drake and you kill the Acolyte. That would be my play at least.
Right. But Kolento instead just going for the damage. I guess it makes sense. You need to put as much pressure on as possible, much pressure on your opponent as possible. So yeah, gonna go for just the 6 damage of face, and gonna hit the face with the Bran as well. Kolento really recognizing that this is an unfavorable matchup and just going to take as many chances as possible.
Now, my reason for going for this is you could go for the Azure Drake, and it's a 4/4.
Mm-hmm.
You get extra spell damage if you want to go for the Holy Nova. So I think the pressure is about the same. And you can have options with the 6 damage, something like potentially Emperor, which is something you're supposed to keep in the opening hand. If you're playing Freeze Mage, you're supposed to keep Emperor in the opening hand against Priest.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm not too keen on the Corruptor, but it's a similar play though.
I mean, you have to also consider that Kolento is probably a bit tired, like you mentioned earlier. So he's like, let's just go face here. Let's just finish this.
Yeah.
Could be the case for Kolento. Obviously, we're never going to, shortchange Kolento. He is one of the smartest and best players in the world, but could be in this situation right here. In any case, doesn't matter. It's a pretty good play overall. Obviously, your play with utilizing the Holy Nova works pretty well as well to be able to get that extra spell damage. Obviously, Holy Nova you want to be kind of using aggressively in this matchup, like you say. Don't want to be using it to, mitigate the damage from Alexstrasza. By then, it's probably too late. And yeah, so interesting to see the different philosophies here. Kolento wanting to, press the damage on. And from Chaoshen, what do you think about his play here? It looks like he got a couple of draws from the Acolyte by pinging it and attacking in. Played the Mad Scientist as well as throwing his Loot Hoarder in.
I feel like he is playing like Kolento has 2 Shadowwood Pains. I strongly disliked the early Doomsayer. You could go for something like that against Druid, for example, and it'd be very strong, or maybe against Paladin, but Priest is so helpless against Doomsayer Frost Nova.
Right.
So I feel overall he's been playing worse than Kolento.
All right. Well, in any case, this matchup, this match so far has been kind of crazy, but Looks like Kolento is sticking with his game plan of just putting as much pressure on as possible. Not even gonna, favor keeping his brand alive. Just putting as much stuff on the board. In fact, he's even gonna trade it in. So gonna put as much stuff on the board as possible, as much damage as possible, and gonna really put the pressure on Chaoshen here.
Absolutely, yeah. The 7-8 is scary, but there's not much of a. I mean, Kolento is playing heavily around the Flame Strike, and that's the right thing to do in this scenario. What can he do though? What can Chaoshen realistically do? I mean, I
Yes.
could, maybe think of something like Emperor Coin Ice Lance, the 7-8, but it's not the strongest.
Yeah, definitely feeling like he might be regretting playing that Doomsayer so early. It's definitely a linchpin of being able to deal with a big priest board that could come later on. But yeah, like you say, for right now, it's really a tough decision for him, and he might be going for the play that you mentioned with the Emperor Coin Icelands, but definitely doesn't. I mean, typically as the freeze mage here, you're kind of dominating, really mitigating the options for the priest and mitigating what they're capable of doing. But in this situation, it looks like Chaoshen is the one on the back foot.
I feel like though overall, compared to the scenario, I actually kind of like Chaoshen's position better than Kolento's even, because the matchup is so heavily favored that you have the Doomsayer, and there's nothing you can do. I feel like, okay, Kolento was kind of forced to kill the Emperor now, but yeah, if Chaoshen draws the Doomsayer to the next 3 or 4 turns, I think he has this.
Yeah, he
Because
does
the
have a lot
Priestess
of.
is so helpless, yeah.
Yeah, he does have a lot of freeze in the meantime to kind of tide himself over. He can even go for draws here in the meantime. Maybe play a Cone of Cold as well as the Acolyte and the Mad Scientist. Though that would be a bit weak against something like the Cabal Shadow Priest. But overall, Chaoshen, he does have a decent amount of options. It's just typically it looks much more one-sided than this. Is I guess the point where we're both getting at.
Yes. I mean, it's a Su style matchup, and Freeze Mage does well against Su style matchup because they don't have generally the removal. And when I talk about Su style matchups, it's going to be the Su Warlock, the Dragon Priest, and the Secret Paladin. But we're looking at okay, Acolyte Pain. Not bad, not bad. He's just in a hurry, and I think it's the way to go. But
Yeah, this
I
is the
mean,
play that I was kind
yeah.
of looking at earlier, and it seems like he's
Oh
just.
my God. He gets the Valence for 4 damage now because the Corruptor already has Valence on it.
Yeah, so yeah, is he going to go for the 4 damage Holy Nova here? Looks like he is leaning towards that just to get rid of these annoying minions as quickly as possible. Though we do see the Blizzard come into the hand of Chaoshen to provide even more freezing for him.
We do see the Doomsayer graphic up there, and again he threw away his Doomsayer for almost nothing, where he really would need it now.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, this isn't a hunter matchup. You can't just throw it away early on. Kolento was able to just refill the board right after that. Looks like Chaoshen might be a bit inexperienced piloting this freeze mage deck, and this is kind of one of the merits of this tournament. Honestly, just in order to succeed in this environment, you have to be able to play with every single class out there, and also be able to play with the optimal decks in the current meta as well. So, Chaoshen right now being forced to play this freeze mage, it's pretty hurting him pretty badly, and not even gonna freeze here, just gonna play healing, which means his block is in jeopardy. 13, 17 damage on the field, although there is an Ice Barrier up as well, so I guess maybe not so much in jeopardy as it made it sound like, but yeah, still difficult position for Chaoshen here, and it should be a bit easier for him, or should have been easier for him.
Yeah, he's kind of making it really hard for himself here. But I mean, this can all turn around with one draw here.
Well,
I
I
do like
mean,
Chaoshen's decision to go for the heal bot, though. I think that was strong.
okay. So, I mean, Chaoshen, even without the draws, though, he does have a way to stall, so it's not like, I would say he's even still favored at this moment. What do you think?
Uh, it's getting rougher. I mean, he has Antonidas. He has that option, Antonidas Frost Nova. Kind of don't mind that.
Yeah, it's as an Frost over here. Force your opponent to have the Shadow Word Death. He didn't have it when you played, or I guess it's not guaranteed that he didn't have it. Speaking of Kolento, when you played the Emperor Thorison, but not likely to have it with only 3 cards in hand at the moment. Oh, but picks it up off the top. Kolento
Ouch.
is just amazing at these draws, and Chaoshen just wondering how he got in this position to deserve all these top decks by his opponent. But yeah, Chaoshen does. I mean, again, he has the ability to continue to stall, but eventually he's gonna have to make something happen, and desperately needs that Doomsayer to eventually clean up this board. So yeah,
Yeah.
in absence of
In
that,
second, yeah.
in
Like this is
absence of that,
just stalling. Sorry.
yeah, in absence of that, he does have the Blizzard into Flame Strike eventually, and Kolento can't really heal everything unless he has the Holy Nova. So that is a play he could start going for. But yeah, in the meantime, it's pretty difficult.
Absolutely. But yeah, overall with the it's just stalling at this point. It's all about the Doomsayer. Will he draw it or not? I mean, he can't play the Twilight Well. He'll need to keep it for the second Black and Corruptor.
Yeah, or any other thing that could well, there's a second Twilight Well. So he can play Twilight Well now, I suppose. It would be, I mean, his board isn't too vulnerable to Flame Strike. It'll be interesting to see what he heals up. Looks like he's going to go for his highest attack minion, and yeah, not even going to play anything at all. Just worried about that Flame Strike potentially, ruining his board. Chaoshen does pick up some cards, although it will take, a couple turns to get that out. Flame Strike here is reasonable. It leaves his opponent with 7-3 and a 6-2, which does, take away most of the board. And the more he waits, the more potentially Kolento is able to heal up. Chaoshen reaching for that Frost Nova. Sorry.
I think Kolento is slowly losing this as Chaoshen draws more freeze here, but I believe this is going to be his last freeze overall.
Yeah, I think it might be. He's used a Cone of Cold, a Frost Nova, a Blizzard, and might have one more Blizzard left, considering that this is not a Reno deck. Kolento picks up the Twilight Guardian to potentially put more pressure on, and noticing that this is potentially the last freeze. I mean, Kolento's looking pretty tired and grumpy there, but I imagine he is counting all the cards that he's seen so far as all the freezes. So could be going down to the last Blizzard for Chaoshen to be able to clear with that Doomsayer, and he might commit to this Twilight Guardian. Alright, looks like he's reaching for it. And let's see what he heals to get out of that Flame Strike range. Going to be heal on his second highest attack minion. Definitely makes sense. Going to heal the Vol'jin there. And Chaoshen, I mean, we said he was in a reasonable position, right? He was able to just stall for many turns, but he hasn't been able to accomplish anything with those stalling tactics. Not really able to clear much of this board at all. And even a Flame Strike here wouldn't clear everything. Though it would be a reasonable start as far as clearing his opponent's board.
I think to notice though is that he's getting close to be able to kill Kolento, just start racing him. And that is exactly what he's going to be going for here. Right. Yeah, I mean, what can Kolento do?
Does Chaoshen have, I think he has an Iceland left, correct?
I believe, yeah, he used one on the Emperor before.
Yeah. And he used one on the Black and Corruptor. If he picks up Icelands, speaking of Chaoshen, he can go 3-mana Fireball, 4-mana Fireball, and then Frostbolt Icelands for the win, even if Kolento heals here.
I mean, okay, so Kolento's going to be popping the block. That's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to be looking at Chaoshen going for 2 Fireballs and a nice block, putting himself down to probably 5 damage. If 5 health, if Kolento heals his own face, which is very likely. And then Chaoshen has, 10 damage? So this is just 1 hit for Chaoshen, so it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. I mean, Dragon Priest doesn't run things like Holy Fire, it doesn't run Light of the Naru, so... Yeah, looking like after this, crazy game that Chaoshen probably has the game in the bag. Just has to go for the double fireball and ice block here. Then has the requisite damage afterward to finish out. Oh, okay. I thought he had aimed the ice block at his or aimed the fireball at his face for a second. I was really confused there because he went for
Pulling an
fireball.
e-cop, yeah.
Yeah, he went for the fireball, then the ice block, and then the second fireball. So I thought he hit himself. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to be game. Kolento has no way to heal out of the range of the 10 damage coming from Chaoshen. And pretty insane game, but it's going to be Chaoshen who finally takes it even, gets the ice lance for good measure. And,
Maybe he tries to tilt Kolento here with the top deck, but I feel like, overall, Kolento played this just better. Chaoshen made a big mistake, but it's still, it ended up being, enough with this matchup. The matchup is just so overwhelmingly favored for Freeze Mage that even if you get a bad hand and you misplay, you're still able to pull through.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest we ever saw in a big match, the Priest winning, was at the World Championships when Tice almost was able to take it against Osaka, but eventually you're going to draw the right cards, and he was able to do that in Alex Chaoshen in that particular game. In this particular game, Chaoshen just stalling and stalling and stalling until he drew the burn and was able to just go with the plan of aiming for the face. So now that Chaoshen's Freeze Mage is clear, we are going to be moving on to obviously different decks, and Kolento going to be going with that Zoo Warlock, whereas Chaoshen has the Dragon Priest.
It's a tough call when you keep the Wormcrest. I generally probably wouldn't keep it without a dragon. It's a tough call though, yeah. He doesn't like keeping it, I don't blame him.
You kind of that's kind of the point of keeping it, or a kind of point of having your deck, right? You want that early tempo to be able to compete with things like this Flame Imp, and you just kind of rely on your deck to draw you those dragons, and he was able to pick them up here.
Yeah, now it's fantastic, no question about that. But yeah, we have the Juggler, I believe, the trade. The Wormcrest will be fantastic. We'll be seeing. I mean, if he misses though, if he goes for the Wormcrest, Juggler misses. You can see the Valence Chaoshen come down for extreme value.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like he's not gonna mess around with that. Could actually. Oh, actually misses the juggle. So I'm gonna see if he can get a second juggle. No, both hit the face. So okay, actually, Kolento does attack, so is aware of the possible dangers associated with that Valence chosen. Chaoshen could go for it, turn his Wormus agent to a 3/5, and start clearing here, which definitely makes sense. Wants to get as much value out of this as possible, and has the Twilight Garden behind it.
The thing's looking good overall, though. We should be expecting to see the Imp Gang boss on turn 5. I would have thought. And that leaves option with Chaoshen just to steal it right off the bat with Cabal. Yeah, Twilight Guardians have the death for potential, Dr. Boom. One Light Bomb in Chaoshen's deck on top of this, and it's looking pretty set.
Yeah, looking really good for Chaoshen at the moment. Has started with a really good hand with that Zombie Chow into the Wormus agent that was activated, and the Valence chosen, and now double Twilight Guardian. Obviously the second one won't activate unless he draws a second dragon, but pretty likely considering this deck, and like he said, might not even need it if he gets a good target for that Cabal Shadow Priest the following turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he keeps missing. Kolento being so unlucky here, but talk about unlucky Chaos, and maybe there's no room to talk about that, but Holy Nova would be pretty strong here.
Yeah, we do.
I don't think it's.
We do see.
I don't think it's the correct.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think it's the correct play. I think you would go for the Twilight Guardian still, but still, yeah, it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, we do see that it would, pull a minion that Chaoshen really wants to take with that Cabal Shadow Priest, so it would kind of mess up that play. But yeah, like you say, it would be it's pretty tempting. We would bring his Wormus agent down to a 3/1, then back up to a 3/3, and depending on whether or not he goes against a demon, is whether or not Chaoshen wants to go for this play or not. But yeah, he's kind of agonizing. But yeah, I think maybe just play it safe, like you say, and just go for the Twilight Guardian, take out this Knife Juggler, and just move on.
Mm-hmm. Gives you option with the Cabal as well. Just hope it doesn't rope completely.
Yeah. Chaoshen in the end goes for the safe play. Doesn't want to mess around with this void as we see the Doom card come out. So maybe it was okay to go for the kill on it last turn. That is the danger, obviously, in letting your opponent kind of decide when you get it out. But Kolento won't be able to sacrifice it this turn. Let's see what he gets off this Dark Peddler. Mortal Coil. Can't really see the Mortal Coil is reasonable here. Can clear off this Wormer's Agent. But if he does so, won't be able to play the in-game boss, which is pretty crucial. I guess he can clear off the Twilight Guardian as well, which is also important. But yeah, not being able to plan curve and play that in-game boss is probably pretty annoying for him. A pretty tough turn here, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he must be worried about the Cabal as well, though. If we do see the in-game boss, this is going to be looking very rough for Kolento. Hard for him to recover.
Yeah, right. So it looks like he's going to go for the Mortal Coil onto that Guardian, giving up the ability to play the Imp King boss. Could pick up a 2-drop. Nope, going to be that Lothab. And another Doom Guard. So now 2 out of 3 chance for the Void Caller to pick up the Doom Guard. Chaoshen looking, a bit... I don't know what to call that pose. I guess he's kind of tired after all the events that happened today, right? He's kind of slumping back, not really sure what to do here.
Seems to be. He's been through a roller coaster every single matchup here. And he's been losing non-stop, so I don't blame him at this point. But he definitely is playing like this is going to be his first major LAN, although he is, one of the most up-and-coming players in China right now.
Yeah, he did play in the qualifiers for BlizzCon from China, so that's, that's something. That's some experience that he has on his resume. Goes for the Holy Nova and gets lucky. Gets that 1 out of 3 on and picks up the Imp King boss. Or sorry, spawns the Imp King boss for Kolento, which is something that he can pick up with that Cabal Shadow Priest. Kolento obviously not too happy about that, although I'm pretty sure that his webcam is just frozen there. For Kolento's sake, I suppose he just goes for the Void Walker and the Lothab, though it does give a pretty bad trade for that Wormer's Agent, or against that Wormer's Agent.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, he didn't see the Cabal last time, so maybe he figures, okay, there's no Cabal, but yeah, if you go for the Lothab White Walker, it's going to be pretty rough from there on. He does attack. I really like the attack. That seems strong.
But even though he attacks, he doesn't go for the Void Walker anyway. And now, I guess it was a kind of preventive measures against that Cabal Shadow Priest as well. So Chaoshen has a couple options here. Can go for the double taunt. Can also go for the Cabal Shadow Priest, though it wouldn't be too strong against what he sees on the board.
I think it would be now or never with the Cabal, honestly. Yeah, I feel like he should go for the Cabal. I mean, what are you going to expect? Generally, if you get an egg, you have almost no way of popping it. But I feel like this is the brilliance of Kolento, seeing something like this through. Escaping the Void Walker and yet playing around the Cabal, playing around the Flame Strike before. Yeah, he is just so good at this game.
Yep, and Kolento now probably will, I assume, just discard his second Doom Guard. Just because it's kind of a pipe dream to get the second Void Caller and have them come out here. It's pretty clean. Just play your 2 1-drops. They work out pretty well in the situation. You can clear off the entire board and play your Doom Guard. So I imagine that's what he's going for. Yep, just gonna go for that line of play. So yeah, clears the board, and after Chaoshen was basically controlling this game for the most part, now he sees himself fall a bit behind. Doesn't even have that Holy Nova to be able to clear most of this board. Has the death, but yeah, everything that he plays from now on can be traded into pretty efficiently. Gonna start off with that death. Not gonna have too many better targets than that, other than maybe a Doctor Boom. And after that, gonna just put as much stuff on the board as possible to be able to contest.
Yeah, I feel like Kolento has been outplaying Chaoshen for some time, but with the death, he is still able to be ahead. The Imp Gang boss probably going to be bad for him even at this point. Power warming won't help much at this point. is he just going to go for the gang boss? Then it's going to get stolen, and Kolento's going to be ahead. I mean, killing Dark Cultist is important. You don't want to give the death rattle away now. Yeah, I think it's at least safe to say that Chaoshen is not playing. It's not going to be playing Bran, but 11 health is something to be afraid of.
Yeah, Kolento recognizing that, I mean, obviously, this Dark Cultist gets a pretty good trade onto the Void Walker on his side, but realizing that the longer this game goes on, the more likely he is to drop it, considering the arsenal that the Dragon Priest has. So, just gonna start playing aggressive. Chaoshen looking at the sidebar now to see what just happened, but seems like a pretty straightforward play to me. Just steal this Imp King boss and kill the Void Walker, and then heal your face just to prevent yourself from any shenanigans. Has already seen, you know, both Doomguards, so as well as a power overwhelming, so not in too much trouble, too much potential of death right here. Though Dr. Boom is probably one of the better draws that Kolento could have right here.
Yeah, it's the start of the comeback here. Be surprised if he doesn't just kind of go to face at this point, but Light Bomb would be it. Still, the bombs do a lot of damage. It's going to turn into the ball. All right.
I guess it prevents a really good trade from Chaoshen. Holy Nova is interesting here.
Oh wait, yeah, he can attack into the
Yeah, that does clear the board. So gonna attack into the Doctor Boom, run the Dark Cultist into the face, and then Holy Nova, and that does clear the board. And that's more or less the last of the threats coming from Kolento, other than, you know, Mal'Ganis, which on the board Chaoshen can deal with if that were the case. Alright, Defender of Argus is pretty good for Kolento's sake. He can play his entire hand. I wonder if he goes for the Night Juggler first. Could be pretty risky. Could spawn some 1/1s that he doesn't really want to deal with, potentially. But I guess he's has to take some risks, so it does go with the Night Juggler first. So yeah, almost certainly going to be Night Juggler Egg into Defender of Argus. Hits the Dark Cultist. That's a good knife for him, or for his sake. Hits Dark Cultist again, so ends up working out for him. Chaoshen under a bit of pressure here, but I think he's perfectly fine here, just clearing the board.
Yeah, I mean, he has still the Dr. Boom, and he's just going to be pulling at it. Maybe even have lethal on next turn. No reason to pop the egg and give Kolento unnecessary outs. You know, a life tap is actually going to be hurting Kolento at this point.
Right.
But if we look at this scenario, though, Chaoshen has the win with the Priest. Then Kolento will need to beat Warrior with Priest, and Warrior has had the leg up on Priest for some time now. Both the Death Spider being really strong, and then we also have the the Pal Desfer. These sort of things that kind of mess up Priest.
Wow, the really unlucky bomb that pops the egg and basically gives Chaoshen lethal on board. Unfortunate for Kolento in the end there, but yeah, pretty long and kind of strenuous game, just a grueling game right there, and in the end goes to Chaoshen. Obviously was the favored deck in that particular matchup. But yeah, like you say, it's going to be Chaoshen's Warrior remaining. It is a it's going to be a Patron Warrior, which the Dragon Priest actually does a reasonable job against. It's going to be up to the Zulok, potentially, to be able to take the upset in that situation. But I imagine Kolento's going to go with the Dragon Priest first here to be able to contest this this Patron Warrior.
I think so, yeah. Although it doesn't really matter either way. Kolento's going through and Chaoshen is going home. But I think overall, though, yeah, Chaoshen is looking better in this one. He is 2-1 ahead, but he also, I think, has a stronger deck. I feel like the Sue is stronger against Patron, though. Whereas I feel like the Patron is favored against the Priest.
Right. I think I guess in my personal experience, I've found that the Dragon Priest does pretty well against the Warrior, particularly if you get some sort of patrons out. You can go Valens and Holy Nova to clear them. Obviously, that requires 8 mana. But just the pressure that the Priest puts on, and it's really difficult for the Warrior to deal with. And looks like Kolento agrees with me. Alright, 1 point in the D2 camp. But so he's going to go with that Priest. It doesn't really matter as much for Kolento in this situation because he's moving on. But in general, every game matters here. So the decks that you see the players choose are the ones that they believe are the strongest against that particular matchup. especially when they're down series point. So Kolento does go with the priest in the end, and we'll see how this pans out. Chaoshen obviously going to throw away at least the Lotheb and the Grom. Keeping the patron would be a greedy play, but doesn't go for it. So yeah, Chaoshen with a bit of a lackluster hand there. No weapons to be able to deal with any early minions from Kolento. Kolento still in his sexy pose there in his webcam, and gonna be starting off with a zombie Chow into a potential coin valence chosen. Also has that Blackwing Technician to fuel his early game.
Yeah, Kolento is going to be running the brand version, but yeah, his neck must be starting to hurt at this point. Slam doesn't seem too good, and I actually wouldn't mind the. You generally want to be trading when you're using the Valence Chosen, but it's better than nothing though.
He could go for something like, coin Blackwing Technician to maybe force a response out of Chaoshen, and maybe bait out some sort of execute just because it's too much pressure to deal with early game, and then from there go into that Valence Chosen, because like you said, you typically want to go for more, or go for a trade so that you don't get immediately blown out by either a silence or an execute. In this case, or a silence or a removal. In this case, Chaoshen obviously wouldn't be running silence in this deck.
Yeah, but the curve is so consistent for Kolento. You have Twilight Guardian to Azure Drake after the Valence Chosen, but now he just has options. Is Slime going to come down just for the heck of it? I feel like he may need to start cycling into a Deathbite.
Right. Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. He needs to start making something happen. But no, Chaoshen's going to just continue to armor up, and I wonder if Kolento starts, being a bit afraid of this. Nope, just gonna keep pushing face. Realizes that he needs to go on the aggressive. I don't believe we haven't seen this Patron Warrior yet. I mean, this series has been going on for what seems like a super long time, but I don't believe we've seen it yet. So I don't think Kolento knows if this is Control Warrior or not.
Yeah, I think that's true. Now, I mean, top decking Deathbite on turn 4, it's not going to be that good here because Kolento plays around everything always. It's just typical Kolento. Shredder isn't even going to be that good. I mean, he just has counters to it. I feel like Kolento is just kind of dominating here with this priest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see him just playing this Twilight Guardian and potentially just hitting the face here with these two creatures rather than fooling around with any sort of trades. But seeing that shredder, will give Kolento a bit of information about what kind of deck he's facing here. I think his early actions were kind of driven by the knowledge or the potential that his opponent would be playing Control Warrior. But now that he sees its patron, or now that he sees its most likely patron, you see him slow down a bit here. Because he knows that it's not so bad a matchup. Typically, you have to kind of go all in against Control Warrior, but now that he sees that the Shredder hits the field, he's going to go for more trades, not going to go for face like I initially suggested there.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Now, he's just playing around everything. Even Lotheb is going to be just garbage in this case because of the Blackwing Corruptor. Deathbite would be almost useless here. There's never enough mana for Slam Deathbite, There's no use in going for the Belcher. What can Chaoshen do? Is this going to be too late?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I felt like this matchup turns into when you're the Patron Warrior. Just under way too much pressure. Looks like he's going for the strongest minion. I mean, one desperate option would be to slam Fire Warrocks and Inner Rage or Whirlwind. But yeah, this Lotheb's going to be cleaned up pretty easily with that Blackwing Technician and the Blackwing Corruptor working in tandem like a super team. And Chaoshen able to pick up that execute, but a few turns too late. He can finally, however, deal with this Twilight Guardian at least with that slam and Deathbite. And I wonder if he goes for that because he will be taking a lot of damage in that case.
I think it's the best option.
Another option,
yeah, execute and fire Warrocks on the Chow though, but is that going to be better? I mean,
Well, I mean, you could see him go for, a quote unquote Kolento play. We saw Kolento using execute very cavalierly in his match, and he could go for, speaking of Chaoshen, could go for an execute on the zombie Chow and get that healing right away, and then play the Sludge Belcher. But yeah, looks like it's going to be a bit of a different play here. Gonna use that slam and whirlwind and execute, and oh, it does clear the board. So in the end, yeah, uses a lot of resources, but does clear the board and paves the way for his Doctor Boom next turn. So overall, very well played by him.
yeah, I didn't see that one actually. I've gotta admit that. Now, Azure coming down. Is there any follow-up with that? Goes with the Noshia Cleric as well. I think Noshia Cleric is very interesting.
It's basically just a tempo play. It seems like if you just play the Azure Drake, maybe it can get dealt with pretty easily. And as it stands, Chaoshen can't deal with both, so just plays out the Doctor Boom. And on Kolento's side, he can go for trying to get a lucky clear here by using the Holy Nova for 3 and hope that his Azure Drake doesn't die. But we all know that Boombots hate Azure Drakes.
It's just how that goes, yeah. What about trading in first into one of them and then caballing the other?
What if you go for Bran Shrinkmeister and then the Doctor Boom is a 3/7? I guess it doesn't really work too well, does it?
Yeah,
Um,
it's like this has to be cabal, kind of. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
yeah, everything is pretty awkward here. I guess you could go for the Cabal and then attack base with the Drake, but in the end, you're kind of giving your opponent pretty good trades, and obviously we see the Despite in the hand of Chaoshen, so wouldn't work out too well. Looks like he's going to go for the actually going to go for the Bran Shrinkmeister here to double shrink it down to a 3/7, attack it, and make it vulnerable to these 3 minions on the board. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely not afraid here, but that's a lot of damage here. Looking at what is it? Is that 21? Yeah. He has a weapon at least, yeah. And you could go for the Belcher and fireworks, and that wouldn't be too bad.
Right, yeah, just
Go
to
for
get in
the
the way.
bombs. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you go for the warlocks? Okay.
Yeah, just seeing if the maybe the bombs cleared up by themselves potentially. Obviously, the damage to face doesn't really matter too much. So yeah, it doesn't. I mean, obviously you could maximize the damage in this situation, but just gonna go ahead and do it this way. For Kolento, he does have the Holy Nova to clear up a bit, but just a Dark Cultist outside of that. Chaoshen has a couple options to deal with this at the moment. Looks like he's going to immediately go for Battle Rage to get some more options onto the board. And probably going to see a Deathbite here just to set up for Patrons next turn.
Wouldn't mind that, yeah. But was there any merit to potentially going for Gammas? Probably not. You may want to save that for longer. So thinking of Despot, does he go for the Armor Smith? Place around the Cabal? Not unwise, seeing that there's two of them. Will Client have to play Cabal anyway? I think that's even likely at this point.
Yeah, Kolento could go for the Cabal here. Even maybe go for the Tempo Northshire Cleric as well, just to kind of slow down his opponent. But after Kolento had a pretty good start to this game and was looking, like he was in a pretty dominating position, at least board-wise. Chaoshen, with that one turn clearing the board and paving the way for his Doctor Boom, has really turned this around, and now he's on the verge of creating a board of patrons that Kolento definitely can't deal with.
That is true here. But can Kolento survive? I think he'll like Chaoshen survive. I think he'll have to get a lot of armor through this Armor Smith on top of it. Second patron. Could he just go greedy and go down to 6 health?
Just play both patrons, right? No, I don't think he can really. I mean, you would put too many things on the board. One single Holy Nova would clear. At the moment, you're basic. I mean, Kolento, as far as answers to this, would have to have Azure Drake into Holy Nova. So unlikely for that to happen. Looks like Chaoshen's going to go for. Oh, he's not going to Inner-Rage.
Second time that we've seen the Chinese be very conservative with their
Wow.
Inner-Rages.
Interesting. Yeah. Pretty conservative. I guess he figured that this is enough and that he can finish out the game with just the minions on board.
I guess it's lethal with Grandmas if he uses it on Grandmas, but
Right. But yeah, Kolento can't really do anything yet. 10 damage on the board plus 12 damage from hand does Chaoshen have. And that's, I mean, if Kolento could heal himself out of lethal, but obviously just delaying the inevitable there. I mean, obviously the Cabal can help in that pursuit as well, but doesn't really help too much. So it looks like Chaoshen is 1 damage off lethal.
seems to be, yeah.
And this is kind of the reason why you potentially you want to make more patrons onto the board rather than giving your opponent the chance to deal with it this way. Gonna be looking to battle rage. It seems like speaking of Chaoshen, drawing 4 cards here. BGS comes into the hand. Whirlwind helps a bit, but he might make his board too big potentially. If he plays the Armor Smith first, he just fills the board up too much if he goes for the Whirlwind. So
Goes way overboard, yeah. But he can clear though and have, what is it, 5 minions on the board? That doesn't seem too bad. Doesn't have lethal next turn though, but
yeah, this game is just kind of crazy, right? Just going on way too long. Nope, you can't play the Armor Smith quite yet. Sorry. So yeah, gonna just play the Armor Smith here. Gonna do some trading and get some more stuff on the board. And yeah, pretty dominating board here for Chaoshen. Doesn't have lethal next turn, I don't believe, but yeah, eventually he's going to be able to have it. Unless Kolento draws Drake into Holding Over right now. And that's not going to be it. Alright, there we go. Kolento puts us out of our misery and ends up conceding. He was very far behind. Chaoshen does pick up the win. Finally picks up a win on the day. And Kolento drops to 2-1 on the day. He is already guaranteed to move on to the finals. So all you Kolento fans out there, do not worry. This match only mattered a little bit, I suppose. So yeah, Kolento with a 3-2 win in his first match against Shadowy, a 3-2 win against Tom in his second match, and now a 1-3 loss versus Chaoshen here. So overall game score, he's going to be even at 7-7. So most likely he's going to finish the day out in second place here, and the winner of Shadowy versus Tom will likely be first.